what Swami Vivekananda said is coming true. In 1897 he said India shall conquer the world by its spiritual culture, in the sense that Indian spiritual culture will solve the problems of the modern humanity, bring about a world civilization, a global civilization which will give global peace. That is what he meant. And that is really happening. You know, the Canadian government declared by a charter, they declared the November month, because it is Diwali comes, declared as the Indian Heritage Month. And the Illinois government, Illinois state, with a charter declared 11th September as Swami Vivekananda Day, the day on which he spoke at the World Parliament of Religions in 1893. And that is for the first time this 7th Parliament of World Religion took place in Toronto, and on 2nd November there was Diwali celebration and Indian Heritage Month celebrations in the Convention Hall of the Parliament of Religion, and goddess Lakshmi was put, and there she was worshipped, and all the religious leaders of Toronto were called, and they chanted the mantras, and I gave the keynote address on Swami Vivekananda. This all happened in this Parliament of Religion. 10,000 delegates from 120 countries and 200 different faiths, they all came for 7 days. So it was a very huge thing. But there also gradually, for example, on the banquet dinner day, all of them spoke on Swami Vivekananda. And Swamiji's speech was also read out. So gradually the presence of Indian spiritual culture and Swami Vivekananda is being more and more felt. So we are going ahead. Of course, we have to go a long way. But this is a must, because we are not concerned. What Swami Vivekananda said, my name, I do not want my name to be popularized. Only my message should spread. So all of them are talking now about interfaith harmony. In Parliament Religion, I saw all have got very positive attitude. They are talking about inclusiveness. They are having the universal love and universal brotherhood. So those ideas that Swami Vivekananda wanted to be popularized are becoming popular. Maybe they are not taking the name, some are taking the name of Swami Vivekananda. That doesn't matter. Swami Vivekananda never wanted his name. We also do not want Ramakrishna Mission should be popularized this and that, or whose name should be broadcasted. What we want really is this practical Vedanta brings about harmony and peace in the world. So if that comes, our objective is met. And that is being met gradually. But of course, she was telling that there is another trend that is coming. More and more broadband is coming in many of the countries. In America, in fact, Lisa Miller wrote an article, We Are All Hindus Now. 9 years back she wrote an article in the Newsweek. At the same time, why we say like that? Because he said, like Hindus, we are becoming broad-minded. But now, Geeta Pranamataji was telling us yesterday that some other trend has started, some are becoming narrow-minded also. I think it is a temporary phenomenon. Because the need of the hour is that everybody has to accept the Vedanta. Everybody has to accept this universal harmony and peace. So, any other question we can take up now? Or then, of course, we will have another question answer session after the lunch break. Is it okay? You wanted something here? Please tell.
Porbandar, is this the place Gandhi was born?
Yeah. That is the place where Mahatma Gandhi was born. Same Porbandar. That is why when I called Dr. Kalam, he immediately agreed. He said it has double effect. Gandhi is his birthplace also, and plus Swami Vivekananda stayed here. And that is why we got some money from the government of India without our asking for it. Because the tourism department wanted it to make a tourist place. He said there is double effect. Gandhi's birthplace, but Swami Vivekananda stayed here. Swami Vivekananda Memorial. So that is how we could construct that Vivekananda Institute of Value Education and Culture. A very big institute we could construct because we got the grant from the government without asking for it. Yes, very good. Yeah, please.
Why are you confident that the narrow-mindedness is a temporary thing?
What is this?
Why are you confident that the narrow-mindedness that we are seeing, especially in this country, is a temporary phenomenon?
I think that Swami Vivekananda was a visionary, and whatever he told has come true. And he said a global civilization will emerge. And he said, he also placed the ideal of universal religion. He said, I do not know when it will take place, but there is no harm in dreaming about it. It may take a long time to take shape. But he has given the ideas, and I am very much optimistic that these are all temporary phenomena. Whatever is happening now in the political stage, the next president may be a woman, and maybe Indian-born woman. That is what they are telling. So that will make a lot of difference.
Oh, you mean Kamala Harris?
Eh?
You mean Kamala Harris?
No, it may be Tulsi Gabbard also, who knows? Tulsi Gabbard, she took oath with Gita. She is a great votary of Gita, Bhagavad Gita. Apart from that, she has got very liberal ideas. And I think women power is going to come. You know, the Parliament of World Religion, now the chairperson is a woman, the vice chairperson is also a woman. Dr. Bhadra Shah is the vice chairperson now.
Yeah.
So the trend is going, maybe the American vice president also, maybe next president may be woman. Who knows? And women have got little better sense, I think. I mean, as far as this,
I don't disagree.
non-violence part is concerned,
Yeah,
non-violence,
exactly.
they are little less aggressive or little more understanding and little more compassionate in general. In general. Even an iron lady will have a good heart.
The Iron Lady.
Iron lady
You're talking about Margaret
will have a good heart. Very good. So can we go? Any other question? Then we can take up keep your questions ready during the question answer session. That is after lunch break. And if you all agree, then I'll put on that song, beautifully sung. The same song about which we started. We will end with that song, beautifully sung. And that record I will keep. With that we'll meditate. Normally wherever I take meditation sessions, I give some hints on meditation in the beginning. And I tell them, you meditate in the way your Guru has told. Not in the way I am telling you. You go according to your... But if someone has not yet received mantra diksha or initiation, or somebody doesn't know, then I can give you some small hint. Then we will meditate. The song will be on, just to have a sort of a background, so that at least it will go to the song. The mind will go here and there. It will go to song also. So that we will have at the end. So just now we will discuss about how to implement. We have already half an hour. We will implement how to implement this Vedanta in everyday life, in our lives. Then after lunch, I want that after lunch break, if we can, those who are coming for the first time, they can have a sort of a tour.
Sure.
Because some people do not know that Swami Vivekananda stayed in this place and so many weeks and so many times, and what all he did, and the sofa which Swamiji stayed and all that, the room in which Swamiji stayed. Maybe, and even those who have seen, I would like to see it again.
Yeah.
Whenever I come, there you are not seen, all these things.
Okay, so I'll do it. That will work.
Yet it work.
So when people are mostly done with lunch, are you saying?
After lunch will be better. 2 to 2:30.
Okay.
And 2:30 to 4:30 will be the last session. We start with question answer and with the meditation session. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
So now we start how to implement that message of Vedanta in our everyday life. So Swami Vivekananda gave the gist of the whole of Vedanta in his book on Raj Yoga, where he says, each soul is potentially divine. The goal of human life is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature, external and internal. do this either by work or worship or psychic control or philosophy, by one or more or all of these, and be free. This is the whole of religion. Doctrines, dogmas, rituals, temples, churches, mosques are but secondary details. So, the goal of human life is to manifest the divinity. And this is the crux of the whole of religion. How many times you have fasted, how many times you have gone to church and mosques, temples, not bad, but that is secondary. Primary is to manifest the divinity. So 4 methods have been suggested. One is the path of meditation, Raj Yoga, or mystic process. Then second is the path of knowledge, Jnana Yoga. The path of unselfish action, Karma Yoga. And path of love, that is Bhakti Yoga. So these are the 4 yogas, Swami Vivekananda says, by which you can manifest the divinity. Raj Yoga has been given, in this Raj Yoga, Swami Vivekananda has given their commentary on the Patanjali aphorisms. It is 8 limbs. What are the 8 limbs? Yama, that is 5 yama, niyama, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan and samadhi. The first step is yama. Yama are 5. Satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha, ahimsa. Satya means truthfulness. Asteya, non-stealing. Brahmacharya, continence. Aparigraha, non-covetousness. Ahimsa, non-violence. These are the 5 yama. And what are the 5 niyamas? Shauch, cleanliness. Santosh, contentment. Swadhyay, study. Tap, Tap is austerity, and Ishwar Pranidhan, surrender to God. These are the 5 niyamas. Asana, yama, niyama, then asana, then pranayam. Pranayam, breathing exercise. Then pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, meditation, and then samadhi, full absorption. So these are the 8 steps given in Raj Yoga, and the whole details have been given in the book Raj Yoga. You can read it. So what we have to do there is that we have to practice the basic virtues that are given, as I told you, truthfulness, honesty, and then cleanliness and study, and all those things are given. These are the foundation of this spiritual life. And then you meditate. Now there are various types of meditations, techniques available. You take up whatever you want, but better you undertake meditation for 5-10 minutes, no problem. But if you want to go deeper into meditation, if it is for relaxation, these 2 are different things. Many relaxation techniques are given the name of meditation. If it is relaxation technique, no problem. They just put on some music, this and relaxation cassettes and CDs are available. Don't worry, that you can go. But if you really want meditation, then you have to. It will be better to get the teaching from some guru or a guide, proper guide. And there are various types of meditation techniques: vipassana, prekshadhyan, Zen meditation. Vedantic meditation is again of various types. That is Rup Dhyan, meditation with form. Gun Dhyan, meditation on the qualities. Then Lila Chintan, meditation on the divine sport of the incarnation, on some form of God, without form, on the qualities of God. Likewise, Vedantic meditation also got so many other subdivisions. Then the Zazen meditation. So there are various types of meditation techniques. You take up whatever you want or whatever your teacher, preferably you find out a teacher who suggests, then you can go. Normally the easiest meditation, one technique I will tell you at the time when we are having practical meditation session, I will give you one small practical technique. Now second becomes so that meditation, it can be done anytime, but better if it is done early in the morning And if early morning is a big problem, don't worry. Whenever you get up, that is early morning. But immediately after getting up, without taking up other things, without undertaking many other activities, you start with meditation. Some people, they go on postponing meditation. They first finish their newspaper reading and then tea and snacks and everything, and then take bath, and then finally they come to meditation. By that time the mind has gone to so many places, then very difficult. The mind will be wandering here and there. It is difficult to concentrate. Even otherwise it is difficult to concentrate, then afterwards it becomes more difficult. So one of our management experts used to say, don't read newspapers in the morning. Newspapers are bad, newspapers are sad, newspapers make you mad. All bad news are more. I don't know about in America. In India, all the bad news will be in the front page. They are very negative minded. I don't know about here. But anyway, so start meditation early. Whenever you get up, first thing should be meditation. Then you take up another thing. Formal worship, you need to bath. Formal worship you do later on, supposing you are worshipping. But meditation should be done as early as possible, immediately after getting up. And if you cannot do in the evening, best would be when you come back from the office, you just take a wash and have a shower and then a cup of coffee or tea, and then meditate and then have your dinner. That is best. But if you are too tired, then you can take dinner. At the time of going to sleep, you can have a little meditation. Because with heavy stomach, you should not meditate. That is the thing. You only eat the food, blood circulation goes to the stomach. And when you meditate, it goes either here or heart or in the upper part. And then there will be fight. So, you should be done neither empty stomach nor with full stomach. So Bhagavad Gita it is told, Yukta ahara viharasya, Yukta chestasya karmasu, Yukta swapnava bodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. So you should be moderate in eating, drinking, sleeping, in all the endeavors. Follow the middle path. So so better to do meditation before taking your breakfast. And with heavy food, when the heavy food in the stomach, you should not meditate. And you can start with 5 to 10 minutes meditation, 15 minutes meditation, but if you want, gradually you can increase the time. This is Raj Yoga, and once you meditate and follow the basic, some of the principles as much as possible, fundamental moral principles that are given in Yama and Niyama, then gradually you will progress in Raj Yoga. Then we come to Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is trying to know our true nature. Who am I? There are 3 steps, Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasana. Shravan is learning about what is our true nature. For example, the teacher says, Tattvamasi, you are that Supreme Self. How can I be the Supreme Self? You try to think, reason out this message, and then you meditate on that message. Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasana. These are the 3 steps given in Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge. So, basically, it is trying to reason out our true nature. Now, can we reason out that our true nature is Sat Chit Ananda? Infinite knowledge, infinite bliss, infinite happiness, infinite knowledge, and infinite existence. Can we find out for a reason? Here is the reason. We are not satisfied by the limited. Any amount of food, any amount of clothes, whatever, we are not satisfied. Full satisfaction doesn't come. It remains for some time, again it goes. Again you want something more, then it comes, again it goes. So you do not get fulfillment. Why? Because our basic nature is infinite joy, infinite happiness, so we cannot be satisfied less than infinite happiness. Yo vai bhuma tasukam nalpe sukam asti, says the Vedas. You cannot be satisfied with finite. Infinite alone can give you infinite happiness. So, why? Because our basic nature is infinite. Our basic nature is Satchitananda. Now, you take fish out of water, what happens? Fish becomes restless till you put it back in the ocean. So, we are like fish out of water. Our true nature is Satchitananda. But at present, we are in the world, we have forgotten our true nature, and that is why we are restless. Though we feel that if we get the latest model car, we'll be happy. That is our ignorance. Once it comes, and when you are so happy for 1 week, and when the neighbor gets another latest model car, you're gone. Happiness is gone. That is temporary happiness you get. But this, what we want is infinite happiness. That can come only Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman Tam Atmastham Yenu Pashyanti Dhira Tesham Shanti Shashvati Netaresham. They alone get eternal happiness and peace. Those who have realization of that supreme self, which is super conscious state within this conscious state. Nityo Nityanam, it is more eternal than eternal. Nityo Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam, Eko Bahunam, Yo Vidadhati Kaman, Tam Atmastham Yenu Pashyanti Dhira. Those wise persons who see that supreme self within that heart, Tesham Shanti Shashvati, they alone will get eternal happiness. Netaresham. So, once we realize our true self, so at present we are restless because we have removed from our true nature. So that shows our basic nature is infinite bliss, infinite happiness. And we also want to know more and more. There is no end to the knowledge. That because our true nature is infinite knowledge, Satchit Anand, and infinite existence. Nobody wants to die. Even those who are trying to commit suicide do not want to die, mind you. You ask a young person, young girl, why? No, I want to commit suicide. No, don't commit suicide, is not good. No, I will commit suicide. But why? No, I wanted to marry with that person, is of the different caste, and my parents have told that I can't marry with him, and so I am dying. But I just now met your parents and they have agreed. Oh, then I don't want to die. That she was dying because, not that she wants to die, she was trying to commit suicide to get rid of her suffering. That's all. But nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to live. Why? You ask anybody, what is your plan? When are you dying? Don't ask this question. I don't want to die. When are you giving up your key of your fixed deposit? No. I am going to be alive, eternal. This is because our true nature is that. We are in infinite existence, infinite knowledge, infinite bliss is our true nature. So we can't even imagine that we will be dying someday. We cannot, what about planning? We can't take up that idea at all. Never talk about death to me. I am not going to die. No. Death we are very much afraid of. Why? Because we think by death we will cease to exist. But that is not true. The soul cannot die. Only the body will die. So this has to be understood. That is why Indians, they burn the bodies. Because that is just an instrument. That instrument work is over now. So say goodbye. So we burn it. But there is another thinking, no, body and soul both, they live together. And they both exist. They will continue to exist. And they both are combined together. And body-mind complex along with the soul. So this, if you believe that, then that is why you put it in the grave. You want to preserve that body as much as possible and perpetuate it. But Hindus believe that no. Vedanta says no. This is just an instrument. The real thing is the soul, and soul never dies. Soul never dies. It cannot perish. That is the greatest contribution. Why we become fearless? Because when we think we are body, then only we have got fear. Because, what will happen to me? But when we think ourselves Atman, which is our real nature, then no fear. When Alexander the Great came to this country, he was told by Aristotle, when you are going there, you please bring a good gift. What gift should I bring? I have other things available, you bring a good saint from there for our country. Then he was in search of some saint. While he was going through a forest, he saw a saint seated cross-legged on a rock, and he was meditating, and he became very much impressed with his face. When he opened his eyes, he talked. Oh, what a mine of knowledge! And he became very much impressed. You must come with me. I have promised my guru, I'll bring a good saint from you, and I was very much impressed. So you come with me, I'll build a beautiful palace for you, and nice palace, and nice clothes, nice food, everything I'll make arrangement. Please come with me. And that saint started laughing. Why should I come with you? I am very happy here. I don't need any clothes. The sky is my cloth. This tree is giving me beautiful fruits. This river is giving me beautiful water. I am very happy here. Why should I go? No, you have to come. I have told my guru, you have to come. I will not go. You have to go. I will not go. And Alexander was never habituated to listen any note from anybody. And he drew out the sword. If you don't come, I will cut your head. And when the sword of Alexander came out, the other person will faint then and there. He did not have to use this sword. That's such a big, shining sword. When it came out, the other person would faint then. But here, reverse thing happened. When he drew out the sword, that saint started laughing loudly. You fool! You want to kill me? Don't you know your sword cannot kill me? Don't you know your sword cannot pierce me? Don't you know the air cannot dry me? Don't you know the water cannot melt me? Don't you know the fire cannot burn me? I am deathless, ever pure, ever blissful Atman. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavaka, na chainam kledyanti apo, na shoshati maruta, achedyoyam adayoyam, akledyo shoshyavacha, nitya sarvagatam stanu, achaloyam sanatana. I am the deathless, ever pure, ever blissful Atman. No sword cannot pierce me. And normally the other person used to faint, and Alexander never saw a person laughing at the time of his death. He became afraid, and his sword fell down. And then the saint said, you fool! You want me to take to your country? I can see through my third eye. You are not going to reach your country. And this is what happened. The history says Alexander could not reach his country. On the way he had a very peculiar type of fever. He was on his deathbed. He called the general. Please fulfill my last wish. I think now I am going to die. I wanted to meet my mother, but I think I will not be able to. He loved his mother like anything. And he was very, very eager to meet his mother. But he said, now I am going to die. I cannot meet my mother. Anyway, you fulfill my last wish. When I die, put my hands dangling out of my grave. And then the general said, surely we'll do it. But why this peculiar wish? Alexander came. Alexander conquered the whole world. So many elephants, so many horses, so many kingdoms, so much of ornaments, so much of gold, so much of diamond. Everything Alexander has got. But not a single thing I am going to take with me. Not a single thing. I conquered the whole world, but I could not conquer myself, so I am dying with tears in my eyes. That saint, he conquered himself. So he was laughing at the time of his death. I could not conquer myself, so I am now crying at the time of death. And I am not going to take anything. Let the world receive the message. Alexander came, conquered the whole world, but he went empty-handed. This is the whole of life. Whatever you accumulate, whatever you get, whatever you preserve, whatever you are, everything, nothing is going to go with you except karmas. Karmas will go. And according to the karmas, we will get the next birth, then the next birth, then the next birth. Till we have got freedom, we have to be born again. Adi Shankaracharya says, Punarapi janamam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jathare shayanam, iya sansare, bahudustare, kripya paho, pahi murare, bhajago vindam, bhajago vindam. So this cycle of birth and death will go on and go on. So this, knowing our true nature, who am I? I am not this body. Because when I say my body is weak today, that means I and my body are different. Then when we say, then am I the mind? No, today I am not in good mood. So I am not the mood. Mood is different, mind is different, I am different. So am I the intellect? No, my intellect is not working today. So I am not the intellect. Am I the ego? No, my ego is very strong. I'll tell you. I'll let you know. I am going to take... Remember, my ego is very strong. So my ego is different from me. Then who am I? Not the body, not the mind, not the intellect, not the ego. Who am I? Beyond all this, Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham Shivoham. I am that ever pure, ever blissful Atman. Know this by again and again, reasoning out, meditating on that. Shravana Mana Nididhyasana. That is Jnana Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is loving the Lord thy God with all thy strength, with all thy soul, with all thy heart, with all thy mind. That is Bhakti Yoga. Loving the God, worshipping, repeating the mantra, chanting the mantra. This visiting the temples, churches, mosques. This is all part of Bhakti Yoga, religion of love. And Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is converting work into worship. So try to think about each and every work. One of the methods is dedicating your karmas, your work, whatever you do it in the spirit of worship. As I told you in the first session, each and every work is sacred, not secular. Every work is a worship of the God in man. Whatever we are doing, we are working for the Lord. Lord in various forms. If you try to keep this in mind, that becomes worship. And then second, another method from the Bhakti Yoga point of view. One is from the Jnana Yoga point of view. Second is converting from the Bhakti Yoga point of view. Dedicating all your work and the fruits of your actions to the Lord. So, the easiest method of Karma Yoga is sandwich sadhana. What is sandwich sadhana? Sandwich, you know how to prepare sandwich. Very easy. Just take a piece of bread and then put cheese, butter, tomato, whatever you want to put on, all that thing, all that stuff, and then put another piece of bread. Sandwich is ready. Similarly, when you get up early in the morning, if not early in the morning, whenever you get up, just pray, O Lord, today whatever work I am going to do, everything dedicated unto you, and the fruits also dedicated unto you. That is one piece of bread. Now whole day go on working, putting the stuff on the bread. Last, when lying to sleep, O Lord, whatever I have done today, whole day, the work dedicated to you and the fruits of the work also dedicated to you. That is the second piece of bread, sandwich ready. That is sandwich sadhana. And this is a big sandwich, then you can make small sandwich also. While going to the office, oh Lord, whatever I will do in the office is dedicated to you, the fruits dedicated to you. After coming back from the office, oh Lord, whatever I have done, good or bad, I will try to do better tomorrow. Whatever done I have done, is dedicated to you, the fruits dedicated to you. So this sandwich sadhana, from the Bhakti Yoga point of view, converting work into worship. Jnana Yoga point of view, trying to think that we are not serving the man, but serving God in man. That is Jnana Yoga point of view service. So by whatever way, converting work into worship and trying to do little bit of unselfish service. Ultimately, Swami Vivekananda says, how do you know that you are advanced in spiritual life? How do you know that you have developed SQ, spiritual intelligence? How do you know? Is there any thermometer? Barometer will give you pressure, thermometer will give you will give you temperature. Is there any thermometer will tell you how much religious you are? There is nobody. But Swami Vivekananda gives the test. What does he say? Unselfishness is the taste of religion. Unselfishness is the taste of religion. And he goes to the extent that even if you not visited any temple, church, mosque, or any temple, church, mosque or any religious place in the whole life, if you have not read any scripture of any religion in your life, if you have not observed any religious ritual, but by the simple power of good action you have come to the point where you are ready to sacrifice your life for serving others, you are the most religious person of the world. Only a Swami Vivekananda can tell like this. Only Vivekananda can tell like this. This is what he says in Karma Yoga. Unselfishness is God. Unselfishness is the taste of religion. So this unselfishness, the more of it is, the more we develop, then we will know, yes, we are traveling in the right direction. if you have got more of unselfish. So Swami Vivekananda wrote a beautiful letter to the Prince of Mysore. My dear Prince, this life is short. The vanities of this world are transient. In this short life, they alone live who live for others. The rest are more dead than alive. So let us not be dead people. Let us be living. But if we want to be living, we must have to food. Let us take lunch, and then yes, we must be living. So we have to feed ourselves also. Then only we can serve others, and then we will have nice lunch. I think lunch is nice, and then after a nice lunch, we will have a little tour of this beautiful that historic place where Swamiji stayed. Then 2:30 to 4:30, we will have question answer session, meditation session, and how to combine all the 4 yogas in our daily life. All this we will tell into this one. Okay? So I have completed 1 minute
Perfect.
before. Okay?
Yes.